If you've ever thought, I would love to make money from my podcast, but my audience is too small, this video is for you. I know we think that sponsorships is the only way to make money on a podcast, but I'm here to tell you that that's not true. In fact, sponsorships might be one of the worst ways for you to monetize your podcast when you're first starting out. So today we're going to talk about other ways that you can monetize your podcast, and I'm going to rank them based on how much I love them for you. Let's get into it. But first, I'm Hiwote. I'm a podcast producer, and I am also the creator of the Emerging Voices Podcasting Accelerator. I've made shows for brands like the New York Times, TED, the Gates Foundation, and even Esther Perel's Where Should We Begin? I know people love that show. And also This Is Dating, which was listed as one of Time Magazine's best podcasts of 2022. Today, I want to help you, as someone who is making their own show, figure out how to monetize in a way that's not going to kill your soul. So let's start with the money moves that make sense for you. In the broad category of products and services, first up, we have one-on-one consulting and coaching services. Okay, so this is where you are sharing lots of free knowledge and value with your audience, a very specific audience, because we only make podcasts for specific audiences around here. So you're sharing something very specific and valuable to that audience for free on your podcast. And then if your listeners are like, man, I love this person, I love the way they think, and I want to work with them, they get to work with you one-on-one, either consulting or on a coaching basis. And this is something that you can charge according to whatever the value they're going to get out of the experience is, right? So as a great example of this, one of my besties, her name is Kiran Yaliswa. She has a podcast called The Possibility Pattern, and she is a purpose coach. So she helps people figure out how to align their careers with their purpose and then actually move in the direction of their purpose. So her podcast is about that, the possibilities, the ways to actually figure out what is in alignment for you. And the podcast is totally free. You should check it out. I helped her produce it. Now, if you want to work with Kiran, you got to pay. And she does one-on-one coaching sessions where she actually works with you over the period of, I think it's 12 weeks, to figure out what makes the most sense for you. So this is great when you're starting out because it doesn't require you to have a huge number of people listening to your show in order for you to actually start making real money. Based on that, I love this at a 7 out of 10 for you. Let me tell you why it's not a 10 out of 10. In order to scale, you are going to have to give up more and more and more of your time in order to make more and more money. And we want to trade money for value, not money for time. But when you're starting, it's great because you have a lot of value, but you don't have a lot of clients yet. So this is a great place to start. But let's say you do want to work one to many. That takes us to our second option, which is memberships or group coaching. Depending on the kind of value you offer, a membership or a group coaching program could work really well for you. This is essentially how Emerging Voices, my podcasting accelerator, is structured. While it is a group coaching program, it is a very limited number of people. We only allow 15 people per month. So the number of people who are going to be in the program getting my attention is going to be limited, which means I can help people on a very intimate level, but I'm also not limiting myself to just working one-on-one with people. So how much do I love this for you? 8 out of 10. I think that this is something that you can start small and then grow slowly over time and allow it to be flexible and evolve as you evolve. Another thing that can evolve as you evolve is digital products. So digital products have gotten a bit of a bad rap because there are all these people on the internet telling you, just make a $10 ebook and sell it to everyone and you're gonna make $10,000 this month. And I don't know about that, okay? Like, that's not what I'm promoting. When you're just starting, you might not have a huge audience, but you do have knowledge that you're acquiring while you're making your podcast through your interviews, through the research that you're doing, and it makes complete sense for you to package that up and sell it for something that is not a lot of money, right? I'm thinking below the $100 range. And part of what's brilliant about this is that once you create it, yes, you might need to update it and evolve it over time, but you have a baseline from which you're starting. That if you know people are interested in this thing, then you can start giving them value very early on. Someone who does this really well is Katie from the podcast Money with Katie. She has a wealth planner, which makes complete sense. It's $77, and it makes sense because her podcast is about building personal wealth and your personal finance in the context of the broader society that we live in. And it's brilliant, and people also need the actual product that she's offering. So why wouldn't she sell that? How much do I love this for you? 9 out of 10. And it's because I think that it's one of the best places for you to start. Do I think you are going to make $1 million selling ebooks? No. But I do think that it will scale over time. And that is a nice thing to have built, that you can grow other products or services around. Does that make sense? I hope so. And last, under the products and services umbrella, we have speaking engagements. While you starting a podcast does not necessarily mean that you are an expert on a subject, it does mean that you have spent many hours studying a subject, okay? And there is value in that. And people will pay you to speak about the research that you've done and the knowledge that you've acquired. That's essentially what speakers are getting paid for, right? The knowledge that they've acquired that they can share with a big group of people. You don't even need to pitch yourself for a big keynote speech. You can get paid to host panels at conferences. You can get paid to do smaller talks at companies. But you can absolutely position yourself as a speaker in this specific subject area and get paid for it. How much do I love this for you? Solid 9.5 out of 10, because I think this is something that you should start doing very early on, and then the momentum is just gonna keep building it over time. Now let's talk about listener support. This, I think, can be broken up into two categories. One is more of the donation route, and the other is exclusive or bonus content. And I'm separating these two because they require different levels of engagement from you and different amounts of work from you. Under the donation route, we have things like you starting a Substack, and people can just choose to support your Substack by virtue of you just having a Substack and they want to support you. You can also have something like Buy Me a Coffee, which I had on my newsletter for a long time. You can also do something like Patreon. And Patreon is interesting because you can just ask people to support you because you're creating this work. You can also offer them additional things. And the kinds of things that you can offer them don't necessarily need to be as complex as you creating a whole bonus episode, but they can be as simple as they get access to an extended version of an existing episode or a video version of your podcast. So there are lots of different ways that you can play around with this. The two people I really like as examples for you on this are Amanda Seales, and I think her name is Julesy from Smart Brown Girl. Julesy's Patreon, as of today, says that it brings in over $5,000 a month. And obviously she has lots of educational content. As a patron, you get lots of educational content, but I think it's really interesting that it's not like she's doing double the work or extra work and getting paid for her Patreon. On the other hand, we have bonus content that you can create, and if people want to pay for it because of something like a Patreon, great. Alternatively, you can put it on Apple and have people subscribe, and only subscribers get access to these exclusive or bonus or extended episodes. This is something Esther Perel does. There are some episodes that are just for subscribers, and then many people know the bigger podcast, Where Should We Begin, for the format that you've known it for the past, 6 years. So there's lots of different options that you can play around with here. Next up, we have networking and partnerships. This one, I'm gonna tell you up front, this is a 10 out of 10 for me and for you. And the reason I say that is because Regardless of where you are on your podcasting journey, your podcast is now a part of your digital portfolio. It is part of your contribution to the world, okay? And even if your podcast is just for fun, it is a very important way to showcase your personality. Even if it has nothing to do with your career, you can leverage what you've created on your podcast to pitch freelance opportunities, job opportunities if this is the direction you want to go in your career, collaborations with people who you find interesting or people who you want to get to know. And for a long time, podcasts were great for just inviting someone that you would normally not be able to get on a 45-minute call with to have a 45-minute conversation, because this is something that they too can add to their portfolio. Even if you have no aspirations of using this in your career, I highly recommend actively leveraging this as part of your portfolio. And fun fact, this is how I became a podcast producer. I had a podcast that was really just a passion project for me. And then when I met the producer of Where Should We Begin on the train in New York, I asked her out to coffee and I told her, hey, I already have a podcast, but I'm looking to learn from people who do this professionally. And guess what? Look where we are now. Okay? So don't sleep on your network. It's actually one of the coolest ways, I think, of evolving in your career, because what better way to grow than through community? Am I right or am I right? Okay, and finally we have advertising, which I'm gonna bucket into two categories: sponsorships and affiliate marketing, okay? First, let's talk affiliate marketing. I think that the big thing with affiliate marketing, similar to digital products, is that you need a lot of people to sign up for whatever it is that you're promoting in order for you to make real money, right? But you can't sleep on affiliate marketing because it allows you to get a little bit of money very slowly over time. And so I am pro you doing affiliate marketing if it's something that you actually use and love. As an example, I love and use Descript every single working day, okay? And so I am an affiliate for Descript, and it's easy because it's not like I'm pushing Descript on you on every video that you watch, but at the same time, if there's a place where it naturally fits, like right here, I'll promote it. Does that make sense? So you can do exactly that with your podcast. You can have a brand that aligns with the contents of your podcast, and you can talk about that brand in a way that is natural. The problem becomes when you are pushing your affiliate product on your listeners because you need to make money. You don't want to be in that position. At least I don't want to be in that position, so I don't want you to be in that position. So overall, I would rate affiliate marketing like 6 out of 10. And then on the other hand, we have sponsorships. Sponsorships are mostly not my favorite thing because in podcasting, the numbers are not great. So let's look up exactly how much sponsors pay per 1,000 downloads. So the average CPM, which is the cost per 1,000 listens of a podcast, is between $15 to $30 for pre-recorded ads of up to 60 seconds. Here's the gag. Most podcasts don't get 1,000 listens. So then what are people doing? Pitching brands to be on their podcast in exchange for money. I'll tell you what they're doing, which might make the most sense. Some people are pitching brands for sponsorships on a value basis. So it's not on a cost per 1,000 listens. It's more like the easiest equivalent is how Instagram micro-influencers get paid or TikTok micro-influencers get paid. Essentially, they get paid for the engagement that they have, not so much for the volume that they get. Does that make sense? So you could do a similar thing with your podcast where you can say, hey, listen, brand, you make total sense for my podcast. My listeners could really benefit from learning about you and your product. And my listeners, although not huge, which you don't have to highlight that, although not huge, they are really engaged and they take my influence very seriously. So I'm inviting you to be a part of my podcasting journey. And that could actually work. If you're taking that approach, I highly recommend pitching early. You don't have to wait until you get a certain number of downloads. To be honest, you could even pitch before you start your show if you know that there's a brand that's perfectly aligned for it. And if you already have brand relationships. The name of the game in this scenario is that you have to constantly be building your brand relationships so that when the time is right for them and or for you, then you can get paid to promote their product in a way that feels really natural and organic for you. So I would rate value-based sponsorships 6, 7 out of 10 because I think that it requires a lot of slow, methodical work, but I do think it's worth it if you go down the value-based route. That is it for all of the ways that I would recommend monetizing your podcast. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these monetization models makes the most sense for you? Which one gets you the most excited? And if you want more, you can download the 10-step guide to launching your podcast. It is the exact framework that I use for my students in the Emerging Voices Podcasting Accelerator. I cannot wait to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video.